Good morning, everybody. Hello, that's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. No Joe Brazil today, so we're kicking it old school. I'm trying to figure this out on the fly and making sure I'm doing everything correctly.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be quiet over here and make sure that you get everything you've got to have.
Dude,
all the buttons pressed that you have to press.
I can't believe I used to do this every day. Not that anybody cares. This is not a hard job. Like, don't get it twisted. I'm not complaining, but don't write in the newspaper that I'm complaining. No, it's not hard. It's just a lot of steps to monitor and take care of and remember. So I'm going to do my best. There's a really good chance I'm going to screw something up here at some point. Hopefully it just doesn't knock the station off the air. Good morning, James Ham. Happy Monday to you. I have a question for you off the top.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
wearing your new Valkyries hat.
Yeah. Got repping the WNBA.
Yep.
So regular season starts this week, by the way. But I'm scrolling this morning, and every once in a while, some stuff happens in the morning, especially after a weekend. Stuff will happen Monday morning, and that's a gift to us because I get to jump on here and I get to talk about it with you, which is great. And of course, everybody in the chatty house. Good morning, everybody at youtube.com/ESPN1320 and twitch.tv/ESPN1320. Subscribe to our channels. Hit the thumbs up button while you're there. Hit the little notification bell. That when we go live on YouTube, you're there, and we're there. Also, if you're listening on 1320 AM or 98.5 FM HD2, we appreciate you. And of course, the James Ham and Kyle Madsen Show is the podcast version of this show, available wherever you get your podcasts. All right, so sometimes news comes down Monday morning, and it's like, great, we have an outlet to talk about this. I have a couple things from today. I'm going to start with the more recent news, because one thing is news and the other one's not. It was announced today that Michael Jordan is joining the NBA on NBC. So NBC is going to have NBA broadcast rights again starting next season, and Michael Jordan is going to be some part of their coverage. We don't know exactly what his role is going to be yet. Are we thumbs up or thumbs down on MJ joining NBA on NBC?
You know what? I think it depends on how you do it and how willing he is to like break the wall down and actually be a functioning member of like a broadcast team.
Sure.
Right. So I think like when you look at Charles Barkley, you look at Kenny Smith, you look at Shaquille O'Neal and that group, I think that they're wonderful together. They play off each other and everything else. Are we not on the air?
God. See, told you I was going to screw something up.
We're better?
Yeah, we should be good now. Checking. Hopefully. No. Boy. Really screwed this up. All right. It's fine. This is what happens when...
Well, I'll keep talking.
Yeah, no, you keep talking while I figure this out, because I told you I was going to screw something up at some point.
Yeah.
Here, I'm going to...
So for me, it's like, look, if you're going to have a player, a former player step in, like he has to be all in. And to me, I don't think Michael Jordan has been all in and a functional member of sort of the NBA world since he left the game. And you know, again, we had his Hall of Fame speech. We had some of the other things that he, you know, like here and there you get to hear from him as like an owner of the Charlotte Hornets, but he realistically has not been like a big time personality. And for that matter, I don't know that he's ever been a big time personality outside of his game. You know, like his game had so much personality, but he was always smug. He was also very guarded because that's the world he lived in.
Right.
Yeah, I remember reading one of the first books about him. I think The Jordan Rules.
Yeah,
and
by Sam Smith.
Maybe that's what it was. And they were, we're all good to go.
Yeah,
Charlie's back.
Yeah. I was worried about knocking the station off the air. The thing that would avoid me knocking the station off the air is just not having the station on the air at all.
Oh, okay.
So we're fine. We're on the app. We're on the radio. If you were tapped into the radio and listening to silence for the first couple of minutes, thank you for sticking around.
Yeah, sorry about that.
My bad. Anyways, keep going.
Yeah, so
Michael Jordan.
My
NBC.
point, there was a moment where, you know, they missed a freeway exit and went down to the next exit to get off and turn around. And they pulled up, got a red light, and people started flooding out of their apartments to come out and see them. And were standing on the streets chanting and like, you know, celebrating Michael Jordan. This is during his playing days. And in the time that it took for them to stop at a stoplight and then go for the lights to turn green. Like the author said, like 1,000 people were on the street right next to them cheering and celebrating that they had got off on the wrong exit. That's what, so
rock stars.
Yeah, beyond rock stars. So maybe it's possible that he's moved past that and that he can be comfortable in that setting. But I hope so, because I would love to hear more from him, but it's got to be in the right tone. It can't just be, well, they're not nearly as good as I am.
Right. And that's what, so that's what's really interesting is I think a lot of people, I'm a thumbs up on this because I want to know what Michael Jordan has to say.
Yeah.
This is not random guy. This isn't Ramon Sessions. Like this isn't, I want to know what Michael Jordan thinks. Even if it's like even if it's what you just said, even if it's, man, Tyrese Halliburton is never going to be me. I don't think he would say that, but that kind of vibe, even that, at least it's all right. Gives us something to talk about.
Yeah, there's a smugness to him that I hope that is gone.
But I don't think there's going to be when it comes to, like, I understand the concern because so much of what we have of Michael Jordan speaking publicly about things is on the documentary about his Bulls team.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's about him. We're seeing a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff and hearing a lot of stuff about him as a competitor when he's trying to win. We're seeing, him watching clips of Gary Payton saying that Gary Payton's going to shut down Michael Jordan, and we're watching him respond to that. I don't think that's going to be, because there were a bunch of clips going around on social media today of appearances that he's made on like special, not podcasts, but like video type of things, where he talks about how the game has changed for the better now. And you have guys like LeBron James who are able to play so many positions. So now that singular dominance like Michael had is not necessarily required anymore because guys are so able to do so much. And so as long as he's watching the games, like that's my biggest thing. If as long as he's watching the games and then giving what he actually thinks, then great. But if it's, hey, we're going to trot Michael Jordan out there once a month and he's going to be a guest analyst in the studio, and it's really clear that he hasn't watched any hoop, it's like watching Charles Barkley talk about college basketball.
Yeah.
I'm a big Charles Barkley guy. I think Charles Barkley's great on TV. I know a lot of people don't.
I love him
on TV.
Yeah, I love him.
But it's really clear when he's talking about college basketball that he has watched very, very little college basketball.
No, I totally agree. The other thing is, like, when you put Michael Jordan into a setting like this, you have got to have the right people around him. And what it can't be is some players that like are sitting there like, oh my gosh, that's Mike. It's got to be someone like Ernie Johnson who controls the conversation and moves it from
1,000%.
one thing to the next. He's got to be able to hand it to Michael, take it from Michael, hand it to somebody else, play off of everybody. And I don't know who that is. I don't. It's probably Mike Tirico or someone.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who NBC's lead analyst or lead
anchor?
analyst, lead anchor would be for their NBA side. But I hope that it works. We're
also not even sure that that's the capacity that Michael Jordan is going to be on NBC in.
That's true.
He might be I hope
they don't drop him into a game.
That's a concern.
Yeah.
They drop him in as an analyst for a game.
Okay.
I don't think he would be great at that. I mean, maybe he's been working on it and he's awesome. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
maybe
I don't
would,
think that's probably
but still,
his
it's
fort.
tough.
And then is he a studio analyst? Is he a guest analyst sometimes? Do they do a special Michael Jordan show where it's like This Week in the NBA and Michael Jordan talks about what's going on in the NBA for half an hour? That's what I'm interested to see what role he has. And I'm a big thumbs up because, man, I just want to know what Michael Jordan has to say about the NBA.
No, I agree, man. Like it would be kind of cool if he even did like he had his own show where he interviewed players, and I like talk about like the biggest honor ever for a player to go sit in studio and like get to sit down with Michael Jordan and do something.
You'd probably get more candid answers from guys.
Maybe you could have a couple of guys just totally clam up and be like, "Oh my gosh, that's Michael Jordan."
They might.
Yeah.
But also, I think you'd be way more open to if Malik Monk walked in here.
Mhm.
Malik Monk's sitting here and we're interviewing him. Malik's going to be good because he gets the media thing. He's an amicable person.
You would
Malik
just
Monk,
have to have your finger hovering
no
over
doubt,
the dump
no
button.
doubt, no doubt. This is a stream-only interview with Malik. No, but he's going to be good. You get Malik Monk sitting next to Michael Jordan, I think you're going to get very different, even more candid answers than you would if he's talking to media people. Does that make sense?
True. Yeah.
So I don't know. I can't wait to see how they use him. I just really hope that it doesn't turn into like kind of. I mean, Shaq is good on it inside the NBA, but it's pretty rare that Shaq is like super complimentary of specifically a big man in the modern NBA. Like it feels like a lot of, well, he didn't win the titles I won, so the hell with him.
Yeah.
I know it's not all that, but it feels like there's a lot of that, and I just hope that's not what it turns into with MJ. I don't think it will.
Okay.
I don't think it will. The other thing that happened today is I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. Shams Charania, a bomb from Shams, says that Giannis Antetokounmpo might possibly consider the potential idea of maybe asking out of Milwaukee.
Oh, you don't say.
Like, thanks, Shams. I don't know, man. We all know this. Like the minute they lost, we jumped on the radio and we're like, hey, Giannis is probably asking out, because Giannis himself went on a podcast 2 years ago and was like, I'm not above asking out of here. If I don't think I can win, I'm going to ask out. He said that.
Yeah, you look at their future is so dim.
Their host.
Oh, man.
They're so screwed.
It's so bad. I mean, they owe Damian Lillard so much money.
A lot of money.
He won't play. He might not play at all next season.
Yeah.
I mean, popped his Achilles. Like
if he plays next season, it's probably
ago.
late in the year, and he's probably not super effective out of the gate.
No, I mean, this is a nightmare situation for a team that, is holding on to a superstar, but also that all of their other players just faded quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah. So, and then Brian Lewis of the New York Post reporting that the Nets are ready to pounce. So yeah, the Nets and 29 other teams are going to be making phone calls about Giannis Antetokounmpo. So that's out there in the ether now. It's not, it was being presented as breaking news from Shams. Shams is just letting everybody know what everybody thought.
Well, we're
all there.
I mean, we had it last week where Howard Beck started listing the teams that he would like to play for.
Right. Yeah.
What was it? Miami, New York, and LA.
Yeah. Of course.
Huh.
A shocker.
Yeah.
And then, of course, today, the NBA draft lottery, 4 p.m. And who's representing the Kings? You had that this morning?
Oh, yeah. Mr. Keon Ellis.
Look at him go. Shout out to Keon, the undrafted guy. Undrafted guy. Gonna go represent the Kings at the lottery. I think that's so much more fun than when it's a GM.
Yeah. Yeah. That, and, like, Keon Ellis has some flair. Like, this is a fashionista dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you should see his locker. Like, he likes to dress well.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be all excited to be there.
Love that for him.
And like, for me, like, if you're going to have somebody, I think this does a couple of things, Kyle. Number one, it sets a stage that, hey, those worries that Keon Ellis might not be back, like, those are over because Keon is going to represent us, which means he's already in the building. He's already having conversations. He's already part of the what's happening.
Do we think that's also the case for Zion Williamson, who's representing the Pelicans?
Well, see, that's the other thing. Yeah, I think right there, that's
crazy.
The Pelicans saying, yeah, we're not trading him, everyone.
That's wild.
And then, what if they land the top pick? They might trade him. It's like, hey, we got to clear out space.
We got Zion in the number 1 pick. What's up, Bucks?
Yeah.
Want to send Giannis down there?
Yeah, what's happening?
That would be, man,
absolutely wild.
So the Kings are 13th, just to put a bow on this. The Kings are 13th. They keep their pick if they jump into the top 4.
Yes.
That's the only way they can move up.
Yeah.
Is if they're top 4.
Okay, so
because they can't get pushed from the bottom.
Yeah, the lottery is just the first, second, third, and fourth picks.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get past the 4th pick, it goes in order of record from there on.
Right.
So the top 3 teams have the same exact odds of moving to number 1.
Mm-hmm.
The 4th place team has like slightly less, and then it starts going downhill from there. The Kings have 3.8% chance of landing in the top 4,
Big time.
and a 0.8% chance of being the number 1 overall pick.
Come on, boys.
If they are not one of the top 4 picks, their pick goes directly to the Atlanta Hawks.
Yep. It's that easy.
Who are sitting there salivating.
The Kings are either top 4 or they don't have their pick this year.
Exactly.
So we'll know pretty quick whether the Kings jumped into the top 4 or not. Because it'll go 15, no, 14, and then if it's not the Kings at 13, we know.
Yeah, and the 14th pick, so people know, is the Atlanta Hawks. So the Kings won the coin flip for 13-14 with the Hawks.
Mm-hmm.
And so the 14th, if it goes according to Hoyle, like the 14th pick is going to be the Atlanta Hawks. The 13th pick will be the Sacramento Kings.
Right. But the Hawks pick goes to San Antonio.
Yes.
And then the Kings pick goes to the Hawks.
Exactly.
Huh.
Yeah.
So we'll know very, very shortly after 4 p.m. today whether the Kings have a pick in this year's first round or not.
Yeah, and I mean, the entire likelihood is that they won't.
There.
Yeah, 96.2% chance that they will not be selecting.
Yes. But 3.8% chance says they will.
Saying there's a chance, Kyle.
Right. I'm still catching L's on Underdog, obviously. It's over the weekend. It's just me. If you ever wonder, hey, Kyle, open the Underdog app and you actually make a lineup? Yeah, man. I actually make a lineup.
Every day.
And I actually catch an L every time. I got one over the weekend. I got a little bit of money back. I got a 3 out of 4.
Okay.
Or a 2 out of 3. So I did snap the losing streak, but there were still more L's and W's this weekend. So download the Underdog app, sign up with promo code Kyle M. That's KYLEM to play along. Here's where I'm at tonight. Going Timberwolves Warriors. I've got a 5 player lineup.
Oh, that's bold.
I'm going Jimmy Butler lower than 26.5 points. I don't know that he can dig deep and get another 27 plus point night.
Okay.
Because I think Golden State really went for it in game 3, didn't get it, and now I think they might fall behind the 8 ball a little bit. Dante DiVincenzo, I'm going higher than 8.5 points. I need Dante to make 3 threes. I like that. Buddy Hield, lower than 3.5 3-pointers made. At some point, Buddy's going to go cold. At some point, he's going to start missing.
Doggone it, Kyle.
He's going to start missing.
It's a trap.
He might even go like 3 for 8, but at some point, he's not going to hit 4. Damn it.
Oh, come on. Come on, Kyle.
Julius Randle, I'm going higher than half a double-double. Julius Randle has been sensational in this Warriors-Timberwolves series. And Draymond Green, I'm going lower than 1.5 3-pointers made because I'm not totally sure that Draymond Green is going to last the entire game. So that is my lineup tonight for Warriors-Timberwolves. Would love for you to play along with the Underdogs Pick'em game. It's super easy. Pick higher or lower on at least 2 player stat projections, and then you can turn $1 into 1,000. Join the millions who have won billions on Underdog. Download the Underdog app and sign up with promo code Kyle M. That's KYLEM to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code Kyle M. KYLEM. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. And in New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. NBA draft lottery, NBA playoffs. We got some baseball from over the weekend. The A's dropped 2 of 3 to the Yankees, but I want to gripe about that a little bit. We'll get into all of that here on The Insiders. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're rocking with you until noon. Sponsored by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320. That is Sacramento's sports leader. Okay, I think we're good.
We're on.
We are.
You did it, Kyle.
I was hoping they were going to send Jeremy Lamb.
He's been permanently sidelined. What are you talking about?
What's up, Jose? Morning. Oh, hey, Soren. What's up? What up? Everybody, if you're watching on the stream, if you could hit the little thumbs up, that would be awesome. And if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe.
I can only make the thumbs up bubble when I'm at home.
That's weird.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, you did it
Oh, yeah.
Thursday. Oh, yeah. 202 people watching and 39 thumbs up. That's crazy.
Say that again?
202 people watching and 39 thumbs ups.
Come on, everybody.
Unreal stuff. About a minute here. You know what? Hey, that's fair enough. Hey. Oof. Hey, Sizzlers. Shout out to Sizzler, bro.
Oh, when I was a kid.
Hey.
When a Sizzler after church?
I disagree. Chatty House isn't bad. Say it again.
I said going to Sizzler after church when I was a kid.
Oh, boo. So jump over to YouTube just real quick. Hit the thumbs up, and then you can go back to Twitch. Hey. All right, here we go.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
A lot of things to remember. I think I've pushed all the buttons and I think we're on air. We're good. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insiders. We're taking it up to noon, then we'll hand it off to D'Lo and KC. D'Lo and KC will take you up to 4 o'clock, and then at 4 o'clock, coverage begins Game 4. Celtics at Knicks. Excited to see how that series kind of continues rolling forward because, man, felt like in Game 3, the Celtics figured something out. Like figured out how to make their threes and pull away from the Knicks instead of letting them climb back into the game after going up by 20.
Yeah.
Like the Celtics are going to be okay.
I hope so. I hope that that's a series, because I think the other game tonight, the Minnesota Golden State game, which we have here, right? Right here on ESPN 1320.
Do we?
I believe. Isn't that what Charlie came over and told us before?
No, he told us we have Celtics Knicks.
Oh, my bad. Okay, I lied.
Howdy, babe.
I hope that it becomes a series because I just don't think that the Warriors Timberwolves series is going to be anything interesting to watch at all.
It's just it's such a weird series because no Steph takes a lot of the intrigue out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But then Minnesota won by, I think, 24 in Game 2, but it was kind of an uphill climb. And then they won Game 3, but it was definitely an uphill climb.
Mm-hmm.
Like 1 or 2 possessions goes differently. That game's a lot different. It's not like, oh man, you're just watching Minnesota just steamroll a team that is not great and also doesn't have its best player. It's just a rock fight. So even if it gets to 6 or 7, it's not like, wow, what a series. It's just like, ugh.
If you're Minnesota, though, you have to have it in the back of your head that we have to win the next 2, because if you don't and you leave the door open for Steph to come back, who knows what happens? Right. Now it's possible Steph just isn't ready to come back fully.
Sure.
It's possible he can't play in Game 5 or Game 6, maybe not even Game 7, and it's possible he steps on the court and just doesn't look like himself.
Yeah,
but it's also possible he's Steph Curry and you're done.
Yeah.
And
you don't want to risk that.
No, you don't want to risk that. So, yeah, I definitely would not want to face the Warriors tied at 2 apiece with Steph
No.
Curry coming back.
No. Or even up 3-2
Yeah.
with Steph coming back. But let's stick on that game because I learned a lot of stuff over the weekend, and I want to go through some of the things I learned over the weekend.
Okay.
If that's okay with you. The Warriors season rides on Jonathan Kuminga.
Oh, boy.
That's what this like. The reason they were in the game the other night is because Jonathan Kuminga was outstanding scoring the basketball. And whether he can fit in a Steph Curry offense, it looks like no. But in an offense where it is, hey, you're going to get the ball and you find a way to the rim or you find a way to get to your shot and you shoot it. On a team full of dudes, Moses Moody has become unplayable. Quentin Post has become unplayable. Trace Jackson Davis is playable, but he's not going to help you outside of 8 feet from the basket.
Nope.
Buddy Hield will shoot it. Buddy Hield's gonna shoot the rock.
Either he'll make them or he'll miss a bunch of them.
But he's gonna shoot. Brandon Podziemski, as far as scoring goes, is giving them nothing. He had 26 in Game 4 against the Rockets, and I think he's averaging 7 points a night for the rest of the playoffs.
That's not good.
Not good. Like it's just they are running out of dudes who can or will shoot the basketball, and Jonathan Kuminga will shoot the basketball. And as Game 3 was kind of winding down, and you're assessing what happened in that game, there's no world where Golden State is winning a game against Minnesota without Steph Curry, where Jonathan Kuminga isn't scoring 28 plus.
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 games, he scored 30 in the last game and 18 in the one before that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been spectacular. He's 11 of 18 and 8 of 11 from the field.
Yeah.
So what are we talking? 19 of 29 from the field.
Man,
like everything that he's doing is great. The other thing he's doing is, he's actually getting to the free throw line a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it really does remind me of the Kings. It's because when you give the ball to Kuminga, it's a lot like giving the ball to DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's like, okay, like this is our only option at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, please save us.
Yeah.
Right. And other times it's like, okay, you took it too far.
Yeah.
And so you're caught in the middle, especially a very young scoring version of DeMar DeRozan. So he's got also the quirks of being a young player.
Sure.
So I think that if there's a pathway through for them, it probably does have to go through him, at least until you get Steph back.
Mm-hmm.
But they also have to, like, if you can make him a focal point to where the defense has to adjust and it frees up some of their shooters on the outside, that would mean everything to the Warriors at this point.
Yeah. And they just need somebody to start knocking down shots.
Yeah.
Because if not, because defensively, they've been really good against Minnesota. Now, Ant took over the other night. He was outstanding in the second half specifically. But their defense has been fine. It's just, I don't know that they have the horses to put the ball in the net enough times.
Yeah.
Even if they play well defensively. And so it's going to come down a lot to Jonathan Kuminga. That was thing number 1 that I learned. Thing number 2 that I learned over the weekend, the Shedeur Sanders discourse has completely jumped the shark. We've reached the point now, because this is the time, this is the cycle, and this is not anybody specific's fault. This is just the media environment that we live in, where a story happens and then that story gets covered. And then with the 24-hour news cycle, that story gets covered ad nauseum. Everybody gives their takes. And then we reach the point where things flip. And now the story isn't the story anymore. The reaction becomes the story.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, it does, because there's this thing called keywords and SEO.
Yes.
And so
Search engine optimization.
What people found is that mentioning Shedeur Sanders in any post,
yes,
like, just feeds the machine.
Can confirm.
Yeah, and so they're just finding new ways to bring it up.
But he gets asked in his press conference over the weekend, because Tom Brady said very publicly, yeah, I texted Shedeur after the draft and told him that this isn't the end of his road. Where he got drafted doesn't matter anymore. Look at me. I'm the perfect example. I was 199. What place you got drafted in doesn't matter once you get there, because now it's football.
Mm-hmm.
So Shedeur Sanders got asked in his press conference, hey, Tom Brady texted you giving you some advice. What was your takeaway from that advice? And Shedeur said that my journey is a lot like his, and relayed basically what the text message said.
Yeah.
This got taken as Shedeur Sanders arrogantly compares himself to Tom Brady.
No.
Like, no, he didn't.
Ah.
Look, you don't have to like every player all the time. Like, I get it. And I've largely been pretty indifferent towards Shedeur. I didn't think he was a great prospect, but people smarter than me thought he should have gone in the first round. So, okay, cool. That's they know more than I do. But I thought the draft side, like, that sucks for him. That sucks just for anybody. And again, has he had the hardest life? Like, no, probably not. Has he had his dad, coaching him since high school and got him into Jackson State and then to Colorado? Yeah, sure. He's kind of been there, but dude, this is a dude that has dreams and aspirations of playing pro football. It sucks that thought he was going in the first round. He went in the fifth. The taking that quote out of context, like, we're just inventing things. If you didn't like that he walked over and showed off his watch after a game, okay, I don't mind. But if you personally are against that, cool. But making stuff up now and taking stuff out of context, like, now we're past criticism of Shedeur Sanders and we're making things up as reasons to dislike the guy.
Well, and I think they're making things up to, again, get clicks.
Yeah.
Just straight up. I mean, and that's a tough thing. And he's put himself out there enough where he is going to be like a clickbait headline guy. That's just who he is. And it's sort of the path of the Sanders family to put themselves out there in a way that, this can happen, right? Sure. But at the same time, like, this is a college kid. This is a kid who just got drafted. What is he, 22?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, you're going to make mistakes. You're like, everyone think back to when you're 22 and number one, how long ago that was for me.
God.
It was a long time ago. And I mean, the fact that my oldest just turned 22, like,
it's true.
Yeah. Thanks. You just understand that, like, look, they're going to make mistakes. He's going to make mistakes. And eventually he'll either get humbled or he'll be out of the league.
And that's just it, is he has taken this approach every time he gets asked, like, yeah, I'm here now. I'm competing.
Trying to be honest.
That's what I'm glad to be around a team environment because you're solo for so long in the lead up to the draft process. Excited to be around teammates again. Like, he's saying all the right, but he compared himself to Tom. No, he didn't.
Yeah, that's tough.
Relax.
Especially when they ask the question.
Yes. Hey, what did you take away from your conversation with Tom Brady? Like,
those are tough too. What I don't like doing in like, very seldom will I do this, where the only time is when it's something like extremely egregious. But when a player comes up and talks to the media and says something very specific aimed at another player or at a coach, and then you have to ask the coach about that, I don't like doing that.
Sure.
Because like, for me, typically what you get in post game is players like repeating some of the same verbiage that they just got yelled at in the locker room. Right. So if a coach says something very specific, you usually hear that. Yeah, we made mistakes. Someone might look at the box score, but we just can't let somebody shoot 43% from three to, again and again. We just can't. And that's because that's what they just heard. Right.
Right.
So I don't like taking a player's words and playing against a coach, or a coach's word and playing against a player, because then it's on me because I'm not going to exactly read the quote back to them.
Right.
Now I'm, like, editorializing the quote back to them.
Right. Yeah. I'm paraphrasing.
And that's where it gets, like, dangerous, because what as a media member you should never do is try to start a riff between a player and a coach, unless there's literally a riff and you're just examining it and you're getting them to talk about it.
Yes.
But a lot of times it feels like you're creating something, and that's not our job.
An example, if Keegan Murray says we need to be better.
We need to be better.
We were off with our rotations tonight and we need to be better in that. You don't then go say to the coach, hey, Keegan Murray said that you haven't been doing enough defensively in practice and that you need to work on your rotations. Thoughts?
Yeah.
That's not
hey,
that's
coach,
not what he said at all.
Keegan Murray said your rotations were off. And defensive rotations and rotations in general are two totally different things.
Right.
And coach would be like, what do you mean rotations?
Yeah.
And so, I that's just not the game I like to play. But it happens.
Shout out to Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for him. Like I said, I was pretty indifferent, but now I'm rooting for him. Third thing I learned over the weekend. we're watching Oklahoma City, the Thunder, the basketball team. We're watching the city of Oklahoma City. No, we're watching the Oklahoma City Thunder adapt to playoff adversity in real time.
Yeah, it's fun to watch.
It's like watching Amen Thompson in the Warriors series in his first playoff series figure out stuff for the Rockets, where in Game 7 he's having the biggest playoff game of his life.
Yep.
In his first ever playoffs. Oklahoma City tricked off that Game 1 because down the stretch they didn't execute properly.
Mm-hmm.
In Game 4, we watched them blow a big lead. We watched Denver go up by 2 scores, and Denver was just kind of doing that methodical Denver thing where they're just going to walk you down, and it's going to be a lot of Nikola Jokic, and it's going to be a lot of Jamal Murray, and then Christian Brown's going to hit a big shot, or Aaron Gordon's going to hit a big shot, and all of a sudden you're cooked.
Mm-hmm.
We watched OKC take that punch, get knocked down, and then instead of failing to execute down the stretch or panicking or doing it, they just kind of stuck with their game plan, and they didn't do anything crazy. They didn't get outside themselves, and they stole a game on the road to tie that series up.
Yeah,
I was really impressed with Oklahoma City yesterday.
What I love about that series is you're watching a seasoned veteran team come up with big plays in big moments to win games, and a young team learning and growing and figuring out that it doesn't have to be one guy, that everybody can participate, everybody can hit a big shot, and they're growing as a group. And so you can see the talent level difference between the two teams.
Yep.
One team is way more talented, but one team is just so much more experienced. And you're watching this epic battle of experience versus talent. And to me, it's why I told you I thought that series is the Western Conference Finals. I don't think that any team that makes it out of the Golden State Minnesota series is going to have, maybe I'm wrong, but is going to give either one of those teams a game.
I disagreed with you when you first brought that up, but after watching Minnesota play 3 games of this series now, I agree with you. And maybe it's just a matchup thing with Denver, and they just match up really well against Denver and beat them.
Yeah.
But man, I have a really hard time seeing that right now with how Minnesota's playing.
Yep.
They just have not been super impressive to me. Number 4. All right, 4. Number 4 thing I learned over the weekend. We know too much about the NBA rulebook.
Okay.
There are too many rules, and we know too many things about it. I shouldn't know the phrase proximate foul.
Proximate foul?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the phrasing they use. So this is not a complaint about the call. It was the right call. This is just the example I'm using. So Jonathan Kuminga the other night gets fouled going to the basket by Julius Randle. Minnesota reviews it because they think that Julius Randle only fouled him because he was being held by Draymond Green.
Got it.
And they were right. He had him by the jersey. That is the proximate foul. It is a foul that leads to the other call happening. So if I'm going for the ball out of bounds and it goes off of my hand, but you shoved me in the back and that's why it went off my hand, it's a foul on you.
Yep.
Instead of ball out of bounds, right? So I shouldn't know that.
It doesn't come up very often, and it's such a rare case because it happened in a Kings game this year.
Yes, and it just feels like it's starting to happen a lot. Like teams are now really getting into the weeds of replay and going, okay, that was definitely out on us, but was there a proximate foul? Yesterday, the reason I brought this up is because it happened in the OKC Denver game. We got to go here in a second, but it happened in the OKC Denver game where Jokic and Caruso are both going for the ball, and Jokic might have pushed him off a little bit, but the ball got saved, and then Jokic grabs it, he turns around, he makes a pass, and then he gets fouled. And they tried to get a proximate foul from like 8 seconds earlier in the play. It's like, man, we're too deep into this.
Yep.
We have gone past the realm of replays use. And now we're getting into like, hey, we're trying to change basketball games here by use of replay. That's not what it's for.
Well, no, and the other problem is, Kyle, the only time that you can replay is when some sort of whistle is called. You can't replay when they just make a mistake.
Yes.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like the whole proximate foul stuff, and it only works when somebody actually gets fouled.
Right.
You can't just go, wait, he fouled him. It's like, well, we didn't call one, so too bad.
Right. And we just know, and we just like, I shouldn't need to know the specifics of like the A to B motion by a defender and all this. It's just, is there a foul or not? Yay or nay? Thumbs up or thumbs down? The fact that we know just all this minutia and you've got officials explaining on replay, well, the defender did this and then this. I don't want to know all that.
Nope.
Was it a foul or no? Thumbs up, thumbs down. That's all I need. We have a fifth thing I learned over the weekend that we can get to. But the Pacers beat the hell out of the Cavs, and people are trying to turn it into a referendum on the regular season. And I think that's silly. We'll talk about that next. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. No Joe Brazil today. She'll be back with us later this week. This is The Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. Back in a second on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Center.
Yep. I started something that I was going to bring up. Will Raider Laker from 916. Kings fans still agree with choosing Fox over Halliburton. The Kings didn't choose Fox over Halliburton. Just so you know, that's just, it's not a real narrative. The Kings did not choose Fox over Halliburton. The Pacers wanted Halliburton in exchange for Domantas Sabonis. They were not offering the trade of De'Aaron Fox.
Because De'Aaron Fox was making a lot of money, and at that point, it was a question on whether he was worth that contract.
Well, yeah, De'Aaron Fox was in the beginning stages of a $30 million a year contract that just kept going up from there. And Halliburton was a second-year player making, not only that, but a second-year player who was a 12th overall pick who's making like $3.5 million a year.
Right.
Like the conversation was totally different.
If there was a conversation at some point of like, wow, thank God we had to hang on to De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
Because look how, then, okay. But
yeah,
that wasn't the Pacers going, give us one or the other.
Yeah, it wasn't like, yeah.
The choice was trading Halliburton or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's the choice they made. But the Sabonis deal, from what I understand, the Sabonis deal wasn't on the table with Fox.
No. Now, before that, there was conversations with Philadelphia, and Philadelphia was pushing for one of Fox or Halliburton in the Ben Simmons alleged deal. Now, that may have been different, but as far as, like, I don't know. Lizzie, I don't know if other teams, like, teams around the league knew that Fox was available this season. Like, we know that now. Like, there were, but they also, teams around the league were also told that he wants to go to San Antonio and he's not going to sign an extension other places.
2 minutes. Thunder. Feel the thunder.
Yeah, I'm not trying to call you out. I'm just saying, you know. Yeah, PE time. I'm not sure if that's the case. I don't know. Like, we'll discuss this in a few. The Indiana Pacers of it all.
Glaze is the grossest word that anybody uses. I said glaze is the grossest word anybody uses.
Yeah, I'm not sure why we use that term.
Oh, I know why.
Well, yeah, it's a chatty house.
It's just, man, Tyrese Halliburton's having a heck of a playoff. Glaze! All right. You got it. All right, Tyrese Halliburton's not having a, why are you hating? He's saying you're hating.
I'm going to bring this up. Rob, Nacho, will Monty McNair go down as the worst GM than Vlade Divac? Vlade Divac never made the playoffs as a general manager, and he certainly didn't win 48 games. It capped out at 39 wins under Dave Yeager. So, no, I mean, we can have, like, some weird recency bias here towards Monty McNair and sort of throw hate his way, but in all honesty, like Monty got you there, he just didn't have a plan once he got there, or couldn't execute a plan once he got there.
When did anybody say that Tyrese Halliburton was in a P time about to get blocked?
Uh-oh.
All right, 10 seconds.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
I have another thing I learned from over the weekend. It's my last thing. I did not realize that the Saints and Derek Carr just viscerally hated each other.
Oh, yeah?
The celebration from Saints fans on the internet yesterday when Derek Carr's retirement was announced.
Oh.
I had no, because again, why would I follow the Saints and Saints fans' relationship with Derek Carr? But it was a full-blown like fiesta.
Is this the fifth thing you learned this weekend?
Yes.
Okay.
Had no idea.
That is wild.
Had zero clue.
Wow.
And for Derek Carr, here's how I know Derek Carr hated the Saints. For Derek Carr, because he had a shoulder injury with his labrum, I think there was degenerative stuff in there. He had a bad shoulder issue that was probably going to keep him out for the 2025 season. Instead of getting a surgery and rehabbing and getting paid for this season, even though he's on IR, he retired. He left so much money on the table to bounce.
Wait, so does he not get an injury settlement, though?
He gets some form of money.
Okay.
But he would have gotten a lot more if he just stuck it out through this year.
Wow.
But instead he goes, yeah, I'm retiring. I'm out of here. And maybe I'm reading this wrong. Maybe Derek Carr is very much like, I don't want to be in New Orleans anymore. I want to go home to, where's he at? Bakersfield or Fresno, wherever he lives now. I want to go to my home and be with my family. I'm done with football. I'm going out on my terms. Maybe it's that.
Okay.
But I think Derek Carr hated the Saints. So I'm choosing to read this. Saints fans felt the same way, apparently. That was wild.
Then he's 34 years old. Man, like his stats, like they're really good.
Yeah, good player.
I mean, he's in an era where, there are much bigger stats for other quarterbacks, but to finish your career with 41,245 yards, 257 touchdowns, and 112 interceptions, like a 2-to-1 ratio isn't great, but to be honest, that's really not that bad.
I would love to go, and I know there's a lot of Raider fans who would love to go to this universe as well. I want to go to the universe where Derek Carr doesn't get hurt in 2016. I want to go because it felt like after that, it was just really downhill for him. Because going into that year, the Raiders were building and their team was really good. And you had Derek Carr's 12-3, 64% completion rate, almost 3,937 yards in 15 games, 28 touchdowns, 6 picks. He finishes third in the MVP voting, a first team All-Pro. He's a Pro Bowler. He was awesome. And it felt like, okay, there's this ascension. And then he got hurt and just never, it was like when Jimmy Garoppolo tore his ACL. It's like, man, he's just never quite the same player after that.
No.
And I would love to go to the universe where he and that Raiders team not only get an opportunity in 2016 against a Houston team that I think they were going to beat, so to move on in the playoffs, but B, see what that turned into in 2017 and beyond. Like that set the Raiders on this course of, and Derek Carr on this course of a falling short, way short of what we thought they'd be a decade ago. Just brutal.
It's tough because it happens so often that players' careers are cut short. But with quarterbacks specifically, you don't see it like this very often. quarterbacks tend to last forever in the NFL. And
Mhm.
even like Derek Carr, 11 seasons? Something like
11
that.
years.
Yeah. I thought he was a good quarterback. I do think that every time he got in crunch time, he'd overthrow the ball.
He threw it away on 4th down with the game on the line multiple times.
Yeah.
Like not threw it into traffic, like threw an incompletion on purpose.
Yeah.
So I know that's going to cloud. And I'm sure there are Raider fans or Saints fans who feel really strongly one way or the other. Dude had a really nice career. Shout out to Derek Carr. I hope he finds happiness post football, and I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
916-909-1320, 916-909-1320 is the Elk Grove Kid Talk Line. We're kicking it old school today because we don't have a call screener. So, Don, you're on the Insiders. What's up? Hey, Don.
Hey, how's it going?
Chilling, man. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Hey, I wanted to say, I'll give you that the Pacers didn't want Fox. They wanted Halliburton.
Yeah.
But the Kings were never going to go with Halliburton. They wanted to stick with Fox, and I don't think they were ever going to trade Fox. So that's the problem I had. I think the Kings made a mistake. I saw it from the beginning. I would call up all the shows. I get, and of course they would all laugh at me. But sure. I think it's starting to show now. Of course it's not going to, that's not going to change anything. But I think the Kings always make a mistake. They always pick the wrong guy, and they picked the wrong guy at this time too. They should have traded Fox when they had a chance, and they didn't. And of course, now we are where we are.
When do you mean they should have traded Fox? You mean in the Sabonis deal?
No, I don't think with the Sabonis deal. I don't think they should have made that deal because I think they should have looked at a deal to move Fox, whether it was to to somebody else. I don't care where he went. I think they should have moved Fox instead. I think that they should have had the foresight to see that he wasn't the better player.
Cool. Thanks for the call, Daniel. Appreciate it. Yeah, I don't hate the take. The thing that I have trouble with that is where I don't think Fox's value in what was that 21-22?
Yeah,
the 21-22 season,
I believe.
Because Beam Team 1 was the first full season of Domas.
Yep.
So yeah, 21-22. De'Aaron Fox's value was not that high at that point.
No.
He elevated quite a bit the following year and got himself into that conversation. But I don't think
Okay.
Go ahead.
I think it's really difficult, and I get like the take that Fox, you probably could have traded him for value somewhere. I mean, the 2021 season, he averaged 25 a game. The next year, 21-22, I believe that's a year with Halliburton, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's at 23.2 points per game. His assist numbers dropped. His shooting percentages dropped. He was really struggling to play off the ball with Halliburton, right? It's really difficult because if you're just looking for pure scoring talent in the NBA, Fox has a higher end scoring talent. Like he's averaged 21.5 for his career, but he capped out with the Kings in the 23-24 season at 26.6 a game, right? At 25 a game, 25 another season. Like these are big time numbers. 25 points a game. Halliburton is not going to get you that.
No.
And I'm going to bring up Domas in this discussion because I think we all have this. We have this understanding that if Domas averaged 4 more points per game, let's say he averaged 24 points per game, he's a top 10 NBA player, like really close to it. Like he's averaging like 7-8 assists. He's leading the league in rebounding, right? And it's that extra couple of points that you're always going to look at and say, man, if Domas could just do that. And I got to be honest, Halliburton's the same thing. Like Halliburton averaged 20.7 points per game and 20.1 points per game. But this last season, he averaged 18.6. Like he hasn't like ascended to first team All NBA status. And the fact that he's leading his team through the playoffs the way that he is is really cool to watch, and he's hit some game winners and he's had some big nights. He's also had some stinkers.
Yeah.
And so like I just think that they're like, for whatever reason, there's a blind spot when it comes to Halliburton and sort of the ceiling of Halliburton versus, who he is. And again, it's tough to average 24 points per game and 10 or 11 assists. The only player that can do that is Trae Young.
Mm-hmm. But
Halliburton is one of those players who's really, really, really good, and he's probably an all-star in the East, but you put him in the West, and I'm not sure, and maybe he will be because there's a good chance he's going to make the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years in a row, and he's going to be the face of the Pacers, but that doesn't change the fact that ceiling-wise, De'Aaron Fox always looked like he had a higher ceiling than Tyrese Halliburton.
I agree with you. I have so many thoughts on this, and on the radio side, we have to pay bills.
Okay.
So I would like to put a pin in this conversation for just very momentarily, and we'll get back to it when we return, because I think there's a lot of layers and a lot of nuance to this, and I think some of the hypotheticals are really fun. If you'd like to join the conversation, please do. On the Oak Grove Kid Talk line, it's 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. If you want to join the conversation, again, no call screener today, so we're just going to answer. I can have one person on hold basically at a time, so if it's ringing for a while, stay patient. If you want to hang up, try and call back, and we'll get to as many people as we can here on The Insiders. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. Let's talk some Tyrese Halliburton, De'Aaron Fox, what if, sliding doors moments, butterfly effects, whatever you want to call it. We'll do that next. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're The Insiders. Second hour coming up here on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Leader. We're clear. I have so many Tyrese Halliburton takes.
All right, I'm here for him.
All right, so I need to take all this, and I need to do this, and then this. Sounds like riding a bike.
Siakam, Mathurin. Whoa. Hey, kill the mics for a sec. Nothing is happening.
Yeah, nothing interesting.
Nope.
That's probably interesting, but nothing we're going to talk about. Personal stuff. We're not at the time of year where when James is asking to mute the mics that it's going to be anything Kings interesting. I said was.
Boy, what a catastrophic night it would be for the Atlanta Hawks if they don't, of course, move up.
Ooh.
Which that's actually an unprotected pick. Their pick is unprotected to Spurs. It's already gone. But if the Kings move up and they end up with no picks, oh.
30 seconds.
I'm gonna be pissed if Utah gets a first pick.
That's the most annoying outcome.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Utah getting rewarded for whatever the hell this was.
It was just garbage.
Son of a. Wore my Crocs again today. Feel great about it.
Awesome.
All right, here we go. Hour number 2. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Mads, and we're rocking with you until noon. Then we'll hand it off to D-Lo and KC, and D-Lo and KC will take you up to 4 o'clock, where coverage begins of Game 4 between the Celtics and the Knicks at Madison Square Garden.
The Mecca.
The Mecca. The Mecca. All right. We're talking about Tyrese Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox and the Kings, and we had our caller Don saying that the Kings should have actually kept Halliburton and not traded for Sabonis, and instead explored a trade of De'Aaron Fox to build around Halliburton.
Okay.
I have a lot of thoughts on this. One, I'm really interested to know, because at that point, remember, De'Aaron Fox is putting up numbers, but the Kings weren't winning a lot. And there was some question about, man, what's your ceiling if De'Aaron Fox is your best guy?
Mm-hmm.
Is he that dude? And I thought he showed the next year in the playoffs that he's very much capable of being that dude. And maybe you've had your mind changed over the last couple of years and given how things ended in Sacramento. But again, we're rewinding the clock, taking that. So I'm interested in that concept, because I don't know what you're getting for De'Aaron Fox at that point of his career. Because remember, we have to go before we see him in the playoffs. And before he was an all-NBA guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was is he just another guard who's going to score a lot and not really contribute to winning? Which I think was a little bit the perception or the question mark over him.
It was legit. It was legit until he was the best player on a 48-win team and the third seed in the Western Conference, and people can say whatever they want about it being a down year or whatever.
Elevated his game in the playoffs. Yeah, this is before all that. So I'm interested to know what he would have even fetched in a trade. And would that plus Halliburton plus everything else have gotten the Kings to a higher place, either in the immediate or currently? And that I don't know, because the Chatty House brings this up, and I think it's a great point. I don't know who in the Chatty House brought this up, so I can't shout anybody out individually. But it's really hard to put a lot of faith that the Kings front office, regardless of who they brought in instead, would have done the right things to build around Tyrese Halliburton the right way.
No, it's a really good point.
Because that's the whole thing with the Pacers. We had our guy PE Time complaining that we were talking about Tyrese Halliburton being good when he's actually not that good and he's capable. Yeah, dude, he's not a superstar. He's not that. But the reason he's successful is because the Pacers have built around him just about perfectly.
Oh yeah,
Halliburton in a vacuum is a really, really good NBA player, but they're succeeding at this level because Andrew Nembhard's really good, Benedict Matherin's really good. They traded for Pascal Siakam. Miles Turner's a really effective player. Obi Toppin, Aaron Nesmith, TJ McConnell's a perfect backup point guard. They have a really well-constructed, well-coached team that elevates Tyrese Halliburton in a way that I don't think the Kings front office ever helped elevate De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Keegan Murray, or otherwise.
Well, I think there's that small window, the first beam team, that it was a bunch of complementary pieces with Fox and Sabonis.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you were hoping that the organic growth would happen, but it didn't happen. Right? So you kind of got to look at it and say, okay, they did build something that looked like it could be sustainable. I mean, Kevin Huerter was 24.
Yeah.
And
had the best season of his career.
Again, a rookie Keegan Murray putting up,
best season of his career.
Yeah. The most 3-pointers of any rookie in the history of the game.
Yeah.
Right. So there are all of these things that you could point to, but they just stopped the build. And so it's really difficult to look at it. But when you look at the Pacers have not only the length of athleticism, but they have like the rim runners that Malik Monk needs, they've got like 5 of them. That's what they do. They build a team around those types of guys, the guys that the lob threats, right? And it feels like the Kings have always held themselves back. Like we can rave about like the Valanciunas pickup and just how good he played for the Kings, because I think he did. But the fact is, the Kings didn't really. They needed a better backup center than Alex Len and whatever else they've had. But realistically, what they needed was like a better version of JaVale McGee. So they had the complementary piece to go with Malik Monk to maximize a player. And that's always going to be the frustration to me. Like, it is very simple and basic of how to maximize Domantas Sabonis as a player. Like, you need to have somebody who's long and athletic at the 4 that can shoot the 3, that can block a couple of shots here and there. There are players like this all over the league. That's what you needed to put alongside him. You never did. You need a rim runner, a lob threat for Malik Monk, because he's one of the, I mean, statistically speaking, the best pick and roll ball handler in the league. But you don't go get one.
Right.
You tried it with JaVale McGee, but JaVale McGee was like 35 years old and like it was out of the league the next year.
Yeah, and was really singular in that one thing that he was.
That's all he could do.
Yes.
Yeah, and could not play alongside Sabonis.
Correct.
So it just feels like it's not the big miss. It's not that you missed on Pascal Siakam or that you missed on OG Anunoby. Those pieces could have helped a lot, and it could have changed the trajectory of this team a lot. It's all of the other little pieces, you know. And again, I love Trey Lyles. I think Trey Lyles is a great dude, and I think he's a very smart basketball player. But there came a point where if Trey Lyles isn't your small ball 5, and again, if you're going to have Trey Lyles as your small ball 5, you have to get the long athletic guy to go next to Trey Lyles.
Correct.
It's the same exact problem you have with Domas. And so you kept limiting yourself with the players that you brought in. And again, I don't know why they couldn't see the easy path forward or find a way to build the roster the right way.
So odd.
It is very odd.
And that last thing, you don't know why they couldn't find the right pieces to build the roster the right way. That's where I'll push back on our caller Don from earlier, where I reject the idea that had they kept Halliburton, they'd be in a better spot. You'd have a point guard. You'd have a point guard who's a talented scorer, but distributes first. Really, kind of throwback type of player in that respect. You'd be good there, but were Monty and West going to build around him better than they built around the 2 stars they did have?
We'd still be waiting for a Miles Turner,
right? We'd be
Obi Toppin,
right?
Even an Isaiah Jackson.
Length and athleticism would still be a major issue.
Yeah.
So that's where I'd push back on it. And maybe again, it's butterfly effect. Who knows what ends up? Maybe they wind up trading for Pascal Siakam, and maybe they're just the Pacers, right? If they kept Tyrese Halliburton, but nothing that Monty McNair and Wes Wilcox did over the last 3 years, leads me to believe that they would have done the right things, where we'd be sitting here talking about Tyrese Halliburton carrying the Kings to the Western Conference Finals or to the brink of the Western Conference Finals for a second consecutive year.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. That's why they're gone.
Yeah.
And maybe you'd rather have what's Tyrese now? 23? 24?
No, he's 25.
Is he 25?
Yeah, I believe.
Like you'd rather because I guess was he 2 years?
He's he's 25. He was an old sophomore coming out.
That's right. So, but still, you'd rather have a 25. If you were tearing it all down and starting over right now, you'd way rather start with a 25-year-old Tyrese Halliburton just because of the way the NBA is now. It's very guard-centric. Okay, I understand that. And if that's the argument, I'm not going to push back. But I reject the idea that, man, if they'd kept Tyrese Halliburton, they'd be in a way better spot because, man, no, Tyrese Halliburton landed in a perfect place. And they've done everything right in Indiana to put themselves in a position where they're up 3-1 on the number 1 seed in the second round.
And I'm going to add the other element that is like always the elephant in the room here when we're talking about Sacramento Kings. How long has Rick Carlisle been the head coach of the Indiana Pacers?
Long ass time. One long ass time per Basketball Reference.
Yeah, so I'm thinking 6 years.
21-22 was his first year there.
Okay, so he spent all those years with Dallas and then the last 4 with Indiana.
Oh, sorry, Dallas is that.
Yeah.
No, but he was okay. I was okay. I wasn't losing my mind. Rick Carlisle was also the Pacers coach in the early to mid 2000s.
From 2003 to 2007, he was a head coach.
Okay. Whew. All right. Wasn't totally losing my mind.
My point is that Rick Carlisle is an exceptional coach.
Really good coach. And
you've allowed him to build a system. And I think if you're going to build a team that lacks a true superstar, because the Pacers, I don't care what people think of Tyrese Halliburton. Go look at every single game stat from this playoff series. He's had superstar moments, but he has not put up superstar performance. Not like a Donovan Mitchell, or even though he's losing, or even Anthony Edwards. He's not having the same type of impact.
Yes.
Right. But if you're going to build a team of really, really, really good players and a depth team, right, where your best 2 players are Siakam and Ty and Turner, those are your best 3 players. You have got to have a system in place to support that, and a coach that believes in the system and sticks to a system and directs that system. And that's just the biggest issue for me, that it's when things go wrong and a player gets the yips and stops hitting threes. And someone mentioned that Mike Brown screwed this whole thing up by putting Chris Duarte in the starting lineup. And he waited 12 games into the season before making a switch to Chris Duarte. And he did it for 5 games and then went back to Kevin Huerter. Like, that wasn't a thing. Like, and if you're not strong enough as a player to fight through that and figure out what's going on in your game, and 2 years later, we're still wondering the same exact thing with Kevin Huerter, that's not a Mike Brown situation.
Not anymore.
That's a player situation.
Yeah.
And so, like, look, I think building a team the right way is something that the Kings just failed at.
Yeah,
they had it momentarily, and then you saw the path forward to build onto that team, to make that team better, and you did not do it.
Yeah.
You didn't take the necessary steps.
Okay, I want to talk about the Kings here in a second, but I was just looking at this. Not including 2-way players. Don't look at the Pacers roster. How many players are on the Pacers roster who are listed under 6'5"? Not including 2-way guys.
Oh. Yeah, because Mathern's over 6'5". Neesmith is 6'6".
Neesmith listed at 6'5".
Okay. So I'm going to say Nembhard and McConnell.
Nembhard listed at 6'5".
Okay.
Listed.
Okay.
He's probably more like a 6'3"
boy,
guy.
That's crazy.
TJ McConnell's the only guy on their roster listed under 6'5".
Yeah.
He's 6'1". But Aaron Neesmith listed at 6'5", dog. Andrew Nembhard listed at 6'5", dog. Like, that's all of their guys are like that. Benedict Mathurin, same thing.
Yeah.
Pascal Siakam, same thing. Obi Toppin, same thing.
They have, especially, I mean, Isaiah Jackson got hurt this year, but they just kept adding these long. You remember they had Jalen Smith before.
Yeah.
He left via free agency. They just kept bringing in that guy, and the Kings just didn't. And I don't know why. Like, it will be basically, it's what's on their tombstone as, now this all said and done, never found length and athleticism. That's it.
What it all comes down to. I hate, by the way, that the Cavs-Pacers series has turned into a referendum on the regular season. Like, see, this is why the regular season doesn't matter. No, it does. This is the playoffs now. This is why we have the playoffs.
Yeah.
This is why the playoffs exist. But I saw people like, oh man, they did everything right in the regular season. They tried hard, but they rested guys and they were smart. And look, they're still down 3-1. Like, yeah, sometimes you run into a tough matchup. Sometimes the lights are too bright.
Yeah.
To borrow a phrase from Jared Allen. Like, man, sometimes that just happens. It doesn't need to all be like, oh man, the regular season's hosed because the number 1 seed Cavs are going to get knocked out in the second round. Nah, man. The Pacers are just pretty freaking good.
Yeah. That's it. The Sacramento Kings just officially announced the addition of Mike Woodson as an associate head coach. So it's something that we had confirmed last week, but actually today is the day that they.
Can you do me a
marked it
favor?
in.
Can you
Yeah.
quote tweet it and say officially official?
Officially official.
It's my
Okay.
least favorite thing.
To put officially official.
Oh my God. Like, yeah, no, we got it. What's his name from Ian Rappaport does that all the time.
Here, I will
officially official. Yeah, okay. Thanks.
just this time for you.
Thanks. I'm gonna retweet it. Can't wait. Follow us on Twitter for more interactions like this. No, we have to step aside. The Pacers blueprint, though, removing the Tyrese Halliburton, Domantas Sabonis aspect of this, I think the Pacers blueprint is the way the Kings need to go. Unless Scott Perry decides this needs to be a total teardown, which I don't think they do. I think you can get there with the way the Pacers have done it, and we'll talk about that coming up next. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insiders, and we're sponsored by Jiffy Lube, rocking with you until noon here on ESPN 1320. That is Sacramento Sports Leader. Clear.
What's going on, everybody?
It feels like this first round was awesome. And then the second round, there's been some more been some blowouts, but been some incredible comebacks.
Yeah.
And it's been a mostly good playoffs.
I don't think we know where that Knicks-Boston series is going, and we clearly don't know where the Denver-OKC series is going. But
either team could win either of those series.
Yeah, I also feel like that Denver is like they're not going to be able to just shake OKC, like and just like run away with it.
If that was going to happen, they would have won yesterday going away.
Yeah.
It was funny watching that after watching the Golden State Minnesota game the day before, because it went almost exactly the same. Like up trailing the whole game, home team fights back, gets up 6, and then all of a sudden can't quite stiff arm the visitor for long enough. Now, granted, Denver is way better than Golden State, so it was a little closer for longer, but it just had the exact same vibe. Like, oh, nice run, and it's done, and it's over, and it's gone. Hey, Poles, I think that's crazy. That's kind of nuts you just said that. This is just more non-Kings related drama.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
We're just talking about the NFL schedule release. This is what we were talking about at the break.
Yeah.
with the mics off. Oh, I did my underdog lineup earlier, and I did not say my new fake underdog slogan.
Oh, let's hear it.
Because they don't have a slogan. There's another daily fantasy site that has a slogan, and it's like really cool.
And Kenny says it all the time.
Kenny says it all the time. And I'm like, dang, I wish I had a. So I'm going to just pitch this one. It's not as cool as the other one. And it might not be something they want to do because it's daily fantasy.
Yeah.
But underdog, it's your new favorite.
Oh, okay.
Am I right? Am I right?
Okay.
I'm gonna try that. I'm just gonna sprinkle that into the reads, and then when they get sent over, the underdog and people can let me know what they think. Or maybe they're watching right now. If you are, shoot me an email.
There you go.
You know where to find me. All right. The Pacers. So one of the things we've talked about a lot with the Kings this offseason is how they're kind of stuck in the middle, right? They're in this place where they're have too many good players to just tear it down. Milwaukee, for example, is in a place where they're going to trade Giannis and very likely be in a place where they're not going to be good next year. Their teardown could happen pretty quickly.
Yeah, I agree, but also like Giannis makes so much money that it's difficult to take back nothing. Like the fatal flaw, just so we're clear here, the fatal flaw to trading De'Aaron Fox,
please,
right? It's that you went out and got a more expensive player who's not as good.
Yeah,
that's the fatal flaw, right? So, like the Kings would have been much better off taking back like 2 expiring contracts or like a young player like Schmassel rhymes with that. I don't know. Like Stephon.
Schmevin.
Yeah. Schmefon Schmassel. They would have been better doing something like that.
I thought you were I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Schmevin Schmel.
No. They would have been better off taking back a reasonably priced player.
Yeah.
And a young player and picks.
Yeah.
Than taking back a more expensive player that now puts you in a very, very awkward situation moving forward.
Yeah. I watch the Pacers and I go, man, maybe the Kings don't have to do this thing where their next couple of years is just trying to offload big contracts.
Yeah.
Maybe because I've been of the mind, I've been approaching this like, dude, they need to get a superstar. If you're going to be competitive, you have to have a superstar. Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson, Jason Tatum,
Donovan Mitchell.
Like all these teams have that dude.
Yep.
Steph Curry. Every team has that dude. And then there's the Pacers, where Tyrese Halliburton's probably their best player. But man, the delta between Tyrese Halliburton and whoever the 9th guy in their rotation is way smaller than the delta between any of the other stars and the 9th guy in the rotation, right? Even the Celtics. It's like Jason Tatum versus Luke Cornett. Like, come on. That's a huge gap, right? So I think the Kings can take the Pacers approach here and say, okay, Domantas Sabonis, Zach LaVine, I almost said Zach Randolph, Zach LaVine, and Keegan Murray. That's going to be the and again, not apples to apples player comparison, but just that's going to be the Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Halliburton, Miles Turner. We're all really, really good players, but not anybody I'd consider a superstar on that singular level. And then you figure out what those guys need and you put the pieces around them and, oh, look, you're going to go to the conference finals for a second consecutive year. That is not something I had considered until watching the Pacers be up 45 on Cleveland yesterday.
I mean, the key to that is that you have to establish whatever identity it is right away.
And you need a point guard.
And you have to play to it. Well, they need a point guard and they have to have that shot blocker, that defensive minded.
Miles Turner, very good defender.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's like where I don't think they have to add a superstar. I mean, if they added a superstar, that would be amazing, right? We get to cover a superstar, but I don't know that you can build that way in Sacramento.
And I guess just to pause you real quick, I think the bigger issue for me is it's really hard to find that player.
Yeah.
It's not super easy to just fall into Anthony Edwards.
Well, I mean, like, look, the closest thing to a superstar in Sacramento that there ever has been is Chris Webber.
Right.
Right. And there was like a lot of discussion as to whether he is a superstar or, like, again, a player like Domas or a player like DeMarcus Cousins, like all-star level, but not superstar level. Like, there was a ton of discourse here in Sacramento as to whether that was the case. So, like, look at even Mitch Richmond, like all-star player, but not a superstar. And so you're always left wondering, like, is there a way to do that in Sacramento? And for that matter, is there a way to do that in Indiana? Like, Indiana's had some really, really, really good players, even, but have they had like legitimate, just, oh my gosh, superstar players?
Not since Paul George.
Okay. And even Paul George is at the top end of all-star player, but not quite superstar level, at least in my book. And maybe it's because he broke his leg and it like held him back from taking that one extra step, but great two-way player, Hall of Famer, all that stuff. But is he, in this era, has he ever been considered a superstar? And I don't think so. Like, close, but
that's kind of interesting. Was Paul George? I think he was. Paul George was really damn good.
No, I agree. He's really damn good.
But I'm also talking 12, 13 years ago.
Yeah, but I'd also like say this. So it was Paul George better than Mitch Richmond? No, I think same tier of player. Like Hall of Famer, really, really, really good player, multi-time All-Star, great two-way player. But is he a superstar?
4-time All-Defense, 6-time All-NBA, 9-time All-Star.
How many times first team All-NBA?
First team All-NBA, let's see. Third. One. And then another third.
Okay.
So one time he was first team All-NBA.
So all those thirds, though.
But first team All-Defense that year. Also third in MVP voting. I was in 18-19 with OKC.
Yeah.
All right. I don't hate it. I put just those Pacers teams with Paul George are pretty freaking good.
Yeah. No, I mean, they're good, but I don't know. I mean, that's about as close as you're going to get, right?
He was, if he wasn't in the superstar tier, he was really on the cusp. He was the dividing line from the superstar tier to the star tier. Then
yeah, he's like right there.
All right, we can work with that.
I mean, because I'll just.
But then who is okay? So
perspective, Domantas Sabonis is a 2-time third team All NBA player.
Right.
So and I'm not putting Domas in the superstar category.
No,
star level player, yes. Like. I mean, you can take into consideration playoffs and stuff, but, same thing with Paul George. Same thing with a lot of players.
All right. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, it's what? Reggie Miller? Before that?
Yeah.
Man.
I'd even say, like, look, if you look at the early 2000 Kings, like Chris Webber's the best player and sort of in that Paul George, a little bit above Paul George, right around the Paul, actually probably in the Paul George conversation as far as like status of player.
Sure.
But that was a balanced, great build team.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's where I think the Kings probably have to live. Like you're not going to get the best power forward on the market, but if you could find a way to add a Naz Reid or you could find a way to add a Bobby Portis, you go from being like a 40-something win team to potentially like jumping back up into the conversation. You also, but now you have to address the point guard position as well. Like they have a lot of holes.
Yeah, man. I think there's a foundation here because I was really concerned that, man, they're either tear it down or be a 40 to 44 win team for the next 5 years. And then the teardown happens and we've wasted 5 years.
Yeah.
Like that was it. But watch the Pacers and you go, okay, maybe there's a way to do this where they don't need a superstar. They got to make some savvy moves. They have to do this right. It's not going to be easy. I'm not saying the Kings are going to be in the conference finals next year, but I think you're a couple off seasons away from potentially building a team that is significantly better than where they stand right now.
Yeah, the problem is how do you get there? How do you go from point A to point B? And I'm not sure how the Kings do that because it's going to be very difficult. I mean, again, you need to address it. if DeMar DeRozan isn't the answer at small forward, you need to address the either power forward or small forward position with Keegan Murray moving back and forth between those positions. You still have to address a point guard position. And so you're looking at two primary positions that you have to address. Starting rotational pieces that you have to address. And, that's not to take anything away from Keon Ellis or anyone else. It's just that's where you're at. If you're going to leave Keon at the 2, move Zach LaVine to the 3, and find a starting point guard, and then find a starting power. Well, I guess in that situation, you'd be okay. But that might be one way. But then you need like 4 other dudes who are 6'8", 6'9", and can defend the 3 and the 4.
That's it. There's no way to slice this where you don't need taller, more athletic dudes.
No. No.
I love that every conversation about the Kings eventually gets back to that point.
Yeah.
We might meander over here for a while, but we're going to come back to the length and athleticism.
It's just unfortunate that that's the case, though.
What do you mean?
That it always comes back to like one basic need
that every team seems to recognize.
And we've been able to say this on the radio for here on the Insiders for 2 years.
Yes.
But realistically, I've been saying it, like screaming it from the mountaintops for like 5 years.
Yep.
Like it doesn't go all the way back to where you had to one season you had to start Bogdanovich as your small forward at 6'6", and you had no one else that could play it at all. Like these guys, they grow on trees, at least for every other NBA franchise.
Well, and there's going to you're probably not just going to find Jaden McDaniels, right? Jaden is on the Timberwolves.
Yes.
Is that right? Are we sure? Before I continue this point, bro, I thought I had it right. I tweeted it the other day and got it wrong.
He's on Minnesota.
Jaden is on Minnesota. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. He has a twin brother, Jalen, who's sort of in the NBA, who was on the Kings briefly, if you didn't follow that closely. But Jaden McDaniels, you're not just gonna go find Jaden McDaniels in the undrafted free agent pile or in the second round.
Yeah.
There's going to be development that needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what you and I think are asking for, and I don't think that's unreasonable. Is, hey, get this body type, get this athletic profile, and then see if you can help them develop a jumper. See if you can help them develop defensively. See if you can do the things to make that player the functional 7th or 8th guy off your bench.
Yeah, I think for the Kings, for every Jaden McDaniels, there's a Jalen McDaniels, a KZ Okpala, what's his name? Mo Harkless.
Yeah.
Like,
boy,
you tried to go get those guys, but you always did it on the cheap. Glenn Robinson, the third. Like or the second. I think you just third. Yeah. You just kept doing it on the cheap as opposed to going in and getting like the better version already prepackaged and ready to roll. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't spend your second round picks, or if you have a late first round pick, that you don't spend that on another one of those players.
Go try it.
Yeah, well, you need to do it multiple times. That's how you build a pipeline. There are guys that are like this all over the league.
Yeah.
And the Kings Monty and Wes, that group did not value that type of player nearly enough.
Yeah.
They found one of them in Keegan Murray, but with the 4th pick in the draft.
I just don't understand. I don't want to rehash all this, but while we're here, I don't understand how you make the Keegan Murray pick, which was, again, I was all about it. I loved Keegan, thought he was the right fit for the Kings. Salute to Monty and Wes for finding him. I don't understand how you make the Keegan Murray pick, see the impact he has in year 1 as a shooter, see the impact he has in year 2 as a defender, and not go, hey, we should find a bunch of dudes like that.
Yeah.
It's baffling. I know we've been talking about it, but man, I'll never get over it. I'm never going to be at a point where I'm like, okay, that's fine.
And while we're there, I'd also say that the value of having even one of those guys that's kind of like Keegan Murray, just, I don't know what the overall record would have been, but I have a feeling that the Kings would have been a better team if they just kept Harrison Barnes. And I know people hate that idea. Yeah, this last year. But even if he drops down and averages 11 points per game, Keegan probably would have elevated.
Yeah, it's the domino effect of what
Yeah.
removing such an offensive force like DeMar DeRozan, what that does for everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I don't
like,
I don't know that I'd bet my life on it, but I don't hate the take for
well,
sure.
like Harrison Barnes isn't like the best player that you're going to have, but
No.
he would have willingly taken the fifth offensive player in the starting lineup role. And he would have played defense. He would have supported the right way. He could have dropped down to 27, 28, 29 minutes a game, or when you need him, the dude plays every game. I mean, that's one of those things where you look at and you're like, okay, if you could have just switched that and look at, like, it's not that much money, the difference, but it is. Like, if you're paying, Harrison Barnes 17, 18 million this year, you might have enough to go get another one of these guys that we're talking about and have the 3 forward rotation that makes more sense. Just tough. Yeah.
No doubt. All right. Couple more minutes here, and then we got to step aside. Then we'll get to the handoff. One of D'Lo or Casey. They're both in the building, so I don't know which one's going to pop in. It's always fun to see which one of those guys jumps in with us. But I wanted to real quick. I was kind of disappointed with the A's-Yankees series this weekend because the Yankees were at Sutter Health Park in West Sac. And they took 2 out of 3, and they outscored the A's, I think, 29-15. And it just kind of sucked because, and I understand why it is. I'm not naive. But my hope was that there was a feeling and a buzz about the Yankees coming in where it's like, hey, this is a cool opportunity for the A's to see, hey, they're right there. They're above 500. Even after losing 2 out of 3, they're still a game over 500. They're competitive in the AL West and trying to win the AL West and certainly pushing for a playoff spot. They're going to be in the mix. This is a great measuring stick series. Let's see where the A's are at in this measuring stick series. And then it felt like all of the buzz and all of the discussion was like, guys, Aaron freaking Judge is here.
He's here.
Oh, and I get it. He might be, he might literally, and again, I'm not, I understand it's the Yankees. They're in Sacramento. I understand why that's a big deal. It just felt like that was the entire story of the weekend, and they dominated. Again, they won 2 out of 3. They won one game. What was it? 12-2. Another one, 11-2, or 10-2 and 12-2 or whatever it was. And I get it. So I understand. I did not see a singular mention of what this series meant for the A's and what this meant for them in this. All right, hey, here's one of the favorites to win the American League. How did they fare? It was, hey, did you see Aaron Judge? Boy, hit the heck out of that ball. And I get it. He's one of the best right-handed hitters on track to be one of the best right-handed hitters of all time. And his last 162 games have been unbelievable. But
I'd say this, when you're looking at Judge, the one thing that I'll give sort of the fans is that Judge is doing things right now that sets him so far and above everyone else. I mean, he literally at this point leads the league in runs, hits, home runs, RBI, batting average, on base percentage, slugging percentage, OPS plus. Like, he leads total bases. He's got 120 total bases. I mean, the Yankees are we can all acknowledge are a really good team, right?
Yeah, good club.
He's got 120 total bases, and next on his team is 76. Like, and it's again, they have a lot of really good players. So I get that, like, basically the equivalent of, I don't know, maybe Michael Jordan at this point, or he's a superstar.
He is easily the biggest star in the American League.
Yeah, it's him and Shohei are the two stars of Major League
faces
Baseball.
of baseball, and Aaron Judge right now is putting himself in my lifetime on the Mount Rushmore of right-handed hitters.
Yeah.
It's like Albert Pujols, Miguel Cabrera, Mike Trout, Manny Ramirez is in there. Aaron Judge is firmly in that mix.
Yeah.
And I get it's May. He is going to be the MVP of the American League, barring disaster. He's going to flirt with the 400 average for a while. He's going to hit 50, 60 home runs, whatever he winds up at. I understand. I was going in like, okay, hey, this is going to be kind of interesting seeing where the A's stack up. And there was just none of that. It was like, oh, this is home of the Yankees for the weekend. Like, all right, well, that's not
Well, that and I mean, like realistically, the like crazy thing, the A's are 21-20. The Yankees are 23-17. They're like
Right.
2.5 games ahead of the A's in
Right.
the standings.
That's it.
But it was the coverage was all Yankees. The Yankees are here. The Yankees are here.
Right. And I get that's where fans were excited because,
Yeah.
and again, this is not unique to Sacramento where Yankees fans show out. Like that's every market.
Mhm.
It was in Oakland, it's in San Francisco, it's in Chicago or Texas or wherever they are. Yankees fans are going to pull up. I get it. That's not what this is about. I was really hopeful there would be some push and some like, yeah, hey, it's A's time. And it felt more like, hey, the Yankees are here. See?
Mm-hmm.
This is why it's great having Major League Baseball. No, we're A's fans supporting the A's, being athletic supporters,
Yep.
right?
Support your team. Yeah. But it's got to be your team.
I get it to an extent. I
yeah.
get it to an extent. But man,
I think we got to go to break.
yeah, we do. Aaron Judge, hell of a player. The handoff, one of D'Lo or Casey. He'll be joining us next. We'll talk about who's winning the NBA playoffs. He's James. I'm Kyle. No Joe Brazil today. He'll be back with us tomorrow. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. It's ESPN 1320 Sacramento Sports. Clear. Ew. This and a t-shirt, right? You nasty ass. Chatty House after party. Hey, hi Dave. What up? It's kind of what it feels like, man. $13. I don't think they're moving.
Good. Feeling way better, but we should still knuckle for at least.
Oh.
Hello.
Supporting NBC today. Nice, dude.
Funny.
We're gonna have some fun with this. Hang on. Oh, I can't. Gosh darn it.
What?
Oh. I'm trying to make my life easier here by making my life way more difficult. Hopefully NBC doesn't get mad at us and sue us on YouTube. Because everybody on the stream is about to hear the song I'm going to play. Hi, Scooter. What up, dog? Howdy ho. You stay ready. You don't got to get ready. You said what? I thought you said where are the cupcakes. I was like, brother, I have no idea. There's cupcakes. Oh, this is a long break. I messed up, guys. Yikes. Boy, I messed that up big time. Whoops. This is why having Joe here. It's a great point by Kyron. Damn. Buddy.
True.
Remember everywhere you go to bring a towel. Want to get high? Want to get high? 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
Yeah, dude, I told you it's a long break. I messed up. I locked into talking about Aaron Judge.
That's funny.
Kenny, do you want to talk to the chat? Hey, everyone. Kenny Caraway's here.
What up, though?
There he is.
What up, though?
Hey.
Yeah.
We already got our daily fantasy reads out of the way. So.
Oh, okay. No, trying to get a couple dollars.
Hey, so right after I debuted my fake slogan for them, I got a notification from them.
What?
But about something different, not about my. And then about 30 seconds later, I got an email from the Odyssey lady who works with Underdog, completely unrelated.
What's going on, y'all?
Minutos.
Dos minutos.
My favorite part about watching Miami Heat games. 2 minutes.
Dos
minutos. All right, 15 seconds. All right, here we go.
Now, back to the Insiders, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Yeah, if you're watching on youtube.com/ESPN1320 or twitch.tv/ESPN1320, you'll know we're playing a little round ball rock.
Yeah, man.
The NBC NBA theme, because Kenny Caraway, of course, is wearing a hoodie featuring the newest NBA on NBC contributor, Michael Jordan.
I mean, completely unrelated, because I got this hoodie over the weekend.
Right, the plug came through.
Yeah, shout out to the plug. Yeah, man, big ups.
Michael Jordan himself dropped it off at Kenny's compound. He was hanging out over the weekend.
That's not what happened.
Private coaching.
That's not what happened at all.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, these people believe you guys.
Oh, wait, hang on 1 second.
It's time now for the handoff. Taking the handoff from James and Kyle today, here's KC, Kenny Caraway.
Yes, sir.
There he is.
Yes, sir. But it was a hoodie.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost the middle of May. I was like, I like this hoodie. It's gonna be a little chilly on Monday.
Yeah.
Better wear it now.
Yeah.
Because it's not gonna get an opportunity again.
Yep.
So I was like, yeah, this is preconceived outfit. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna wear this on Monday. It's good. And then NBC drops the news that Michael Jeffrey Jordan, for the first time ever, is going to be a special contributor for the coverage of NBA on NBC.
I have not.
Oh,
we have not been able to follow along because it's hard to keep up with news mid-show.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been any additional news on what his role is going to be, or we just still know he's just going to be part of the NBC coverage?
Not that I've seen.
What are you hoping his role is?
I just pop in every now and then on the studio set, and just give his thoughts. Probably playoffs, big games.
All right.
Hey, I'm looking right now, and I know Draymond Green is out there and he tries to play defense, but I mean, this guy's awful. This guy's awful, and we wouldn't allow that back in our day. He would have sat his ass on the bench. That's what he would say.
All I ever hear, though, is back in Jordan's day, everybody was super physical. Draymond's just playing old school basketball. And that's what I'm talking about.
You don't think they would ask him to compare Draymond and Dennis Rodman?
Oh, that's 1,000% what would happen.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah,
probably so.
It's 1,000%.
But he said, he would say, Dennis was a guy that he understood what you had to do for the team, and Dennis didn't get kicked out. Dennis didn't get technicals when we didn't need him to. Dennis knew his role, and you never hear Dennis talking about, I'm this, I'm that. It was about the team always. I didn't have no problem with Dennis.
Plus, Dennis was a outstanding rebounder.
Really good rebounder. Really good.
He was not the passer that Draymond is, but
Draymond is one of the great defenders of all time. So
he was
always
the
want to
other
talk
night.
about that.
Ugh.
He's just not the same though.
No.
Not the same. He hasn't been the same for a few years.
Time
to take old Yeller out back.
Oh,
Did you typically tap into this program, and we appreciate it so much?
Yes, sir.
Were you following along with the Tyrese Halliburton discussion we were having?
Vaguely, I got out of the car. Well, I got out of the car when you said, all right, when we come back, we'll talk more. Tyrese Halliburton, De'Aaron Fox. So I didn't, and then I was talking to our guy, Bill. So I didn't see the follow-up to it.
Okay.
But yeah, I heard earlier when talking about Domas and, him averaging 4 extra points. I was listening to that.
So we had a caller who basically said that the Kings would be in a better spot had they found a different trade and traded De'Aaron for something and kept Tyrese Halliburton. Do you agree with that?
No, not like what did Kyle like to say? Not in a vacuum, right?
Sure.
Because if you were to, it depends on what you get back, right? Like if you were able to, let's just say Domas for Fox, you keep Halliburton, maybe. But Tyrese is very, in my opinion, he's very dependent on the talent around him.
That's it.
Like you need top flight talent, or I shouldn't say top flight, but like really, really high level players around him, so you can get the best out of Tyrese Halliburton,
right,
distributing the basketball, and it's a little bit of a safe fall for those times when he has like 9 points. Like he can have 9 points and you can still win because Siakam or Nembhard or Turner or Benedict Mathurin or Neesmith could have these
so many
games.
dudes.
And if you don't have that, like De'Aaron Fox could never have here, he could never have 9 points and it'd be okay. Like never. And Tyrese, sometimes you could have that and still kind of get away with some things.
I think the difference, though, just to, because Ty is a very, very good basketball player. I think Ty makes players better, the players around him better in a way that Fox never really figured out how to do.
That's kind of interesting.
Like, I think Fox, like him being on the court changes the dynamic of a roster, like greatly. It way more than, like, not to pick on somebody, but Zach LaVine, because Zach LaVine, there's the fear that he might shoot it, right? There's also the fear he's getting out in transition, but there isn't fear that he's going to break you down and draw the entire defense into the middle and then make some pass, or that he's going to go up and finish in traffic. When he does drive, it's always an inline drive. It's always like very quick and like to the point, and it's fun to watch, but it's different. And I just think that Ty, like he has an ability to make everyone around him better, and in a way that maybe Sabonis does, and not so much in the way that Fox did.
I even think right now, like if you put Halliburton, no trades or nothing like that, but you put him on this Kings team with LaVine, with Sabonis, with Keegan Murray, Malik Monk, I think he'd be great. He'd be great, and I think the team would be really good. There's enough talent on that team, on that Kings team, where you can get the most out of Halliburton as a playmaker and a setup guy for others, and still he'd have the opportunity to get his 19 to 24 points every night. I think he'd be really good on this Kings team. But I mean, that's not the way things necessarily work. You know what I mean?
But it all where we eventually landed was Monty McNair and Wes Wilcox did not do the things to supplement the Kings roster with Fox and Sabonis the way the Pacers have supplemented their roster around Tyrese Halliburton and Miles Turner.
They didn't, and I'll say it because I know we're short on time. I'm not stalling them out because there's other ways to do it. But number one, the Pacers had a certain amount of assets to go get a Siakam without giving up their guy. Because I always say this about the scenario where it was time to make a move. If you were going to get a Siakam, it felt like you had to give up Keegan. And at the time, nobody was ready to give up Keegan.
Sure.
And maybe that was the wrong move. I wasn't I wanted to keep Keegan Murray. Maybe that was the wrong move. But the level of assets or lack thereof that the Kings had it where that was the way to get him. The Pacers had X amount of first rounders and all this other stuff where they could get a Siakam without necessarily giving up Miles Turner, so to speak. So a little different, a little context to it that we don't talk about too often.
I'd still like to know what that trade was because I don't know that Keegan was involved. I do know that they asked for Malik Monk towards the end of negotiations, and that would have been a discussion and a decision to make. But overall, I think that, like the Kings backed out of that deal, walked away from that deal because they did not want to pay Siakam the money that he wanted. And once they sat down and they knew exactly how much he wanted, They said, okay, we're done.
We have like 30 seconds. So yes or no, would you have done Siakam for Malik?
I mean, I'm the wrong person to ask. I wasn't like a huge Siakam guy.
Sure.
And the money was a concern for me too. So probably not. I probably would have got that wrong.
All right.
Yeah, because I think you'd still be playing, and I don't think De'Aaron Fox would be on the San Antonio Spurs.
Right.
That's hindsight, though.
D'Lo and KC, it is. It's all hypotheticals. That's why this is fun. That's why I love doing radio and being here on YouTube with you guys. That's Kenny Caraway. He's coming up next with Damian Barling, D'Lo and KC. They'll take you up to 4:00, and then we'll get into Game 4 of Celtics versus Kenny's Knicks.
Come on, man.
The Knicks trying to go up 3-1 in that series. James Ham back tomorrow. Joe Brazil back tomorrow. I'm Kyle Madsen for those guys and for our sponsor, Jiffy Lube. We're the Insiders. Back with you at 10 a.m. tomorrow right here on ESPN 1320 Sacramento Sports Leader. Until then, drink water. Be nice, people. Bye.